Hello everybody, my name's Tim from IELTSfreeway.com, and in this IELTS essay Fix It tutorial I'm going to be sharing with you an essay that a student has sent to me, and we'll be having a look at how they can improve their essay. So let's have a look at the question they were answering. Some people say that governments should not invest money in building theatres and sports stadiums. They should instead spend more money on medical care and education. Do you agree or disagree? Let's now have a look at the student's answer. Now, the student that sent this essay to me admitted that this was their first attempt at an IELTS essay and they just wanted some feedback. Now, the first thing I noticed straight away is that there are only 3 paragraphs in this essay, which immediately makes me think that there's something not right with the structure of the essay. Normally you would have at least 4 paragraphs to an IELTS essay. An introduction, main body paragraph 1, main body paragraph 2, and a conclusion. So immediately I'm thinking there might be something not quite right with the structure. First, I'll just have a quick look at the topic sentences, or the first line of each paragraph. And the first line, I do believe that landmarks are a vital aspect in terms of tourism and cultural identity of a certain place. Now, that's giving your opinion straight away. It's not a typical topic sentence or a typical way to start an essay. The second paragraph, nevertheless, if we can show to others that we have this potential, again, that's not a normal or even correct topic sentence. And then quickly on to the conclusion. Therefore, government should also consider building infrastructure to create more jobs and taxes, and at the same time investing on people's education and medical care. Again, in conclusion, you would normally summarize what you've already written, your main arguments. It's not really doing that in that conclusion there. So immediately I can see that yes, this is someone's first attempt. But that's fine. Everybody has to start somewhere. Let's see if we can fix it. Here is their first paragraph, or what should be their introduction. You might want to stop the video now and read it through before we look at some of the individual errors. So pause the video now and read it if you'd like to. Now, looking at this first paragraph, there are a number of grammatical errors. I'm just going to pick out the main one I want to talk about, which is in the first few sentences. Let's just read those through together first. I do believe that landmarks are a vital aspect in terms of tourism and cultural identity of a certain place. Image is everything. Many people presume that these landmarks are signs of continued development of a place. Then they wrote, it could generate more income from those organisations. Now, when they've written it's confusing because I don't know who they're referring to. Because landmarks with an S is plural, so we would need to change that to they. If it stays as it, I don't know who they're referring to. So this is a problem with what we call referencing, and it can really confuse a reader if you don't get your referencing correct. Referencing is when you, instead of saying landmarks can generate more income for those organisations, you say they can generate more income for those organisations. So referencing means you don't have to repeat the main noun of a sentence over and over again. You can just use they, it, he, she, and it saves the repetition. But when you do it, you must be clear, otherwise it's confusing, which is what has happened here. So we've changed it to they, so they can generate more income for those organisations, companies and institutes institutions who want to hold their shows, seminars and meetings in such places. And there are a few more errors further on in the introduction. You can read those for yourself. Let's have a look at a model paragraph for an introduction now, because in this paragraph the writer has just gone straight into their opinion and giving explanation and reasons in their first paragraph. This is not normally what I would recommend you do in an introduction to an IELTS essay. Here is how I would structure the first paragraph of an IELTS essay. First of all, notice that the introduction is much shorter than that original paragraph. Really, 3 sentences is all you need for an introduction. And the first sentence, I generally recommend rephrasing the question or the background to the question in some way. So here I've rephrased it to: some people are of the opinion that governments should prioritise spending money on improving education and medical care facilities rather than investing financially in more sports stadiums or theatres. So that's the first opening sentence that gives the general background to this essay. The second sentence is then giving the opinion, because the question does ask for your opinion, so you're giving your opinion in the introduction. I am of the opposite opinion and believe it is vital to invest in sports venues and playhouses. So it's a very clear opinion there. And the third sentence then simply explains what the essay is going to do. So this essay shall offer reasons and examples to back up my opinion. Now, this is a very logically structured way to introduce your essay, and you can use this pattern again and again for lots of different essay types. It's particularly good for opinion essays, which is what this essay is. So that's how I would have structured the first paragraph. Let's have a look at the main body paragraph 1 now. You might want to pause the video and read through the candidate's main body paragraph 1 now, before we have a look at the corrections. So pause the video and have a read, and then restart it again when you're ready for the corrections. The first thing to notice about this body paragraph is the very first linking word, and they've used nevertheless. Now, this paragraph is really just adding an extra point that continues with the opinion from their introduction. So when you're just adding further points, you need to use a phrase such as furthermore, or in addition, or allied to the above. Now, those phrases simply mean you're going to give an extra point, which is what you're doing here. Nevertheless is not the correct word to simply add an extra opinion point. The sentence then goes on with, if we can show to others that we have this potential, and then they've had a full stop, so that needs to be changed. Many investors may come and start their own businesses in the area. Notice I've changed the will come to may come, because you have no idea really. If you say will come, it's a massive generalization, and we need to try and avoid generalizations in our essays because they're not specific enough, and they don't help to develop an argument. So many investors may come and start their own businesses, and I've changed it to in the area rather than around the place. I noticed they'd use place a few times in the introduction, so we'll try and vary it. Similarly, I've said in this way the locations rather than place could transform and become the economic hub of the country. A phrase such as economic hub, those two words go together very well, so that is a nice collocation, which is good natural use of the language. And have used collocations quite well throughout the essay. Now, you can read the rest of the paragraph and the corrections for yourself. A few typical ones: has, have, that they're often confused. Government can suffer, governments, because you're talking about more than one, and so on. So there's a few extra grammatical mistakes in there. The very last sentence actually ends with a question. We need to try and avoid asking ourselves questions during academic essays. It's not normal to do that, so it's something you'd need to avoid. So let's have a look at a model body paragraph 1, or how I would write it. Firstly, I've given a very clear topic sentence which shows us what the rest of the paragraph is going to be about. And it starts, firstly, investing in sports and arts facilities indicates a healthy economy and encourages outsiders to do more business in the local economy. Notice that this topic sentence is an argument that directly supports the main opinion that I stated in the first introductory paragraph. So it agrees with, and supports with, the opinion I've already given. The next couple of sentences just develop this point more with some explanation, which we can often use cause, effect, or consequence. So if you can explain the cause, the effect, or the consequence, then you are developing your main point, and this is really good for task achievement band score. That is where you have to develop your main points. So if you explain the cause, effect, or consequence, that's what you're doing. So let's read what I've written. This can have the effect of creating more jobs and employment for local people. These people then subsequently have more disposable income to spend themselves, which provides a secondary boost to the economy. This is the reason why governments all over the world wish to host an Olympic Games. In fact, the London 2012 Olympic Games created over 200,000 extra jobs leading up to the event, and also added an additional $9.9 billion to the economy. Now, that last sentence was an example, and the example, the numbers in the example, I actually made them up. I don't know if they're true or not. The examiner is not going to be checking your facts and figures, but if you can include some, even if you have made them up, you are developing your points, and this is a really effective way to develop your paragraphs, and that is what I've done here. So let's take a look at the main body paragraph 2 now. Now, the student that sent me their essay, remember, they had only 3 paragraphs, and their last paragraph was more of a conclusion. It wasn't really adding any extra points or opinion. So I'm giving you the third paragraph to complete the essay. So here it reads, in addition to the above, the events that take place in the world-class sporting and arts facilities inspire the general public to better themselves. This can encourage them to focus on constructive and creative activities rather than using their leisure time in an unconstructive manner. For instance, David Beckham played in front of thousands of people in world-class stadiums across the United Kingdom for many years, and has inspired a generation of youngsters to participate in sport in some way. So again, I've simply used the cause, effect, or consequence to develop my main point. And the main point that I took here, I took that from the student's essay, but they hadn't developed this point. They'd just given one point and gone on to another point. But you only really need 2 or 3 main ideas for an IELTS essay, so long as you develop them like I'm showing you here. Okay, let's have a look at the conclusion. And in front of you now you can see the student's conclusion with the corrections underneath. Now, if you remember, when the students wrote their first paragraph, they started by giving their opinion. And unfortunately, what they've done in this conclusion is give their opinion again, but they've given a different opinion this time. They're saying, therefore, government should also consider building infrastructure to create more jobs and taxes, and at the same time investing on people's education and medical care. So they're saying they need to do both. Whereas in the first paragraph, they were just saying they need to spend money on sports, stadium and arts. So it's as though they've changed their opinion during the essay. And when you do this, in IELTS terms, you're not maintaining the same position throughout the essay. And this really, it shows a weakness in organisation, and it may indicate a weakness in your language skill. Or it could just be a lack of concentration. But unfortunately, their conclusion doesn't agree with their initial opinion. So that's going to lower their band score, unfortunately, for task achievement. They've also put in quite an informal finishing sentence, like, as the saying goes, you reap what you sow. It has to be a balance. I mean, I don't disagree with them, but you generally aren't going to quote proverbs or sayings in this manner when you write an IELTS essay. And you're probably not going to start a sentence by saying, like as the saying goes. It's just not formal enough, really. So let's have a look at a model conclusion instead. In summary, investment in sports stadiums and arts facilities can create a significant boost for an economy and provide inspiration for a nation to improve themselves. Notice that sentence summarizes the two topic sentences from the main body paragraphs of the model answer. That's all you need to do in the first sentence of your conclusion. Then the second sentence is to restate your opinion. So these are the main reasons why I remain of the opinion that it is more important to focus investment in these areas rather than in simple health and medical care facilities. So you can see that I've summarized the arguments and I've restated my opinion, which is the same opinion that I gave in the introduction. And my two body paragraphs both gave supporting reasons for that first opinion. And that is basically how you structure an opinion essay. If you hold on a second, we'll take a look at the full model answer now. So this model answer contains 297 words. Remember, you need to write more than 250. It's got 4 clearly defined paragraphs, and each sentence has a purpose. In the introduction, we are giving the background for the question, we're giving the opinion, we're saying what the essay will do. In the first body paragraph, we're making our point, and then we're expanding on it with cause, effect, or consequence. In the second body paragraph, we're adding an extra point that supports our opinion still, and developing that with an example. And finally, in the conclusion, we're summarizing the main arguments and repeating our point, our opinion. And that's a very simple and effective way to structure an opinion essay. There are different types of questions though for IELTS, and we can have a look at the different structures you might want to use now. So here are the different essay structures that you could use for different types of IELTS essays. Today we've been looking at IELTS opinion essays, and that's the exact structure that we've been using. So for the different types of essays, you can go ahead and use those structures. Obviously you can pause the video if you'd like to have a longer look at those. I've just got one more thing I'd like to share with you now. Now, I have created an IELTS Writing Task 2 cheat sheet for opinion essays. So if you want to be able to write IELTS essays that score a band 7 or higher, then I highly recommend you download this document that explains exactly how to do that step by step. All you need to do is go to the following web address, which is IELTS-freeway.com/IELTS-cheat-sheet-giveaway, and you'll see all the details there, and it only takes a few moments to download. I'll also put the link underneath the video so you can click on it there. And finally, I'd like to ask that if you've enjoyed this video or you've learned something from it, please like the video or share it with your friends or anyone else who you think is going to be doing IELTS soon and might welcome the video. So other than that, please like and share, and I hope to see you again in another IELTS Freeway Fix It tutorial. Okay, goodbye for now.